Welcome to another edition of Our City. A few things going around the city of Elizabeth this week. On Tuesday, February 12th, I'd like to let everyone know that City Hall will be closed in observance of Abraham Lincoln's birthday. So if you need any more information concerning any events that are going on in our city, please call 908-820-4124, our public information officer. So this week, I'm pleased to be joined by Miss Cara Falco. Cara, welcome.
Thank you.
From Cara's Cucina?
Yes.
And John Evangelista. So Cara, it's a small world, so tell me a little bit about yourself. And you have some Elizabeth connection.
I do have an Elizabeth connection, yes. I am married to an Elizabethan who also happened to work on this very show some years ago, so.
Well, he was, I don't know if he was one of the originals, but Eddie Ojeda was back in the 90s when he first was able to hold the camera.
Yeah, yes, he was. So now Eddie actually happens to shoot our show that we do together, which is Cara's Cucina, and we have produced YouTube's only Emmy-nominated cooking show. So that's what we do together.
Oh, so yeah. Eddie produces it.
I produce, Eddie shoots and edits.
Eddie shoots and edits.
Yes.
And who does the cooking?
Me. I'm also the host.
You also do the cooking?
Yes.
So do you have guests on this show?
We do occasionally have guests.
Because I'm angling.
We will get you on, sir, absolutely, yeah.
What can we do?
What do you love to cook at home?
Oh, that's a... How about Taylor ham and eggs?
We could do that. That's a Jersey classic. That we could absolutely do that.
I'm not much of a cook beyond that. So, do you cook, John?
A little bit.
Yeah?
A little bit.
Oh, okay.
Take my pointers from Cara, though.
Yeah.
I guess so. So, you were news to a little more background?
So background in broadcasting, which is actually how I met Eddie. I used to be the morning traffic anchor for News 12 New Jersey for 5.5 years. I freelanced at Fox 5's Good Day New York, and I work part-time for 1010 Win. So it's always been broadcasting and producing content, and then food and cooking was just something that I always had a passion about. I'm a proud Italian American. Grew up, I was so blessed. I had my grandmothers, I had my great-grandmother, and my mom who can all cook. So I say I'm a graduate of Nonna's Kitchen as far as culinary schools go.
Oh, you a Jersey girl?
A Jersey girl, born and raised.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
So do you still do any of this other stuff with Fox or?
Yes, so I still freelance at Fox 5 and I work part-time for 1010 Wins. So I am still in broadcasting as well.
Okay, good. Well, welcome to the show,
Thank
Cara.
you,
Thanks for doing this.
appreciate it.
So John, tell me a little bit about yourself too.
I'm the Director of Operations for Groundwork Elizabeth. I'm a hydroponic farmer. I started a hydroponic farm about 7 years ago. And we're bringing hydroponics and nutrition to Elizabeth, and it's just been a great.
Well, I saw your experiment at the Sampson Center when you were there. So hydroponics is growing without
water,
dirt.
without soil, yes.
Right.
So we grow our plants in a nutrient-based water solution, and the plants think that it's soil because they're getting the same nutrients. And being that they don't have to fight the soil for the nutrients, they tend to grow a little bit faster and have a higher nutritional content.
And how do they taste any different? They don't have the...
They taste the same, taste fantastic. It's a very clean way of growing. There's no soil at all, so tends to be an easier harvest, easier seeding, generally all around. Easier concept of farming.
So your background isn't in hydroponics, though?
No, my background is in landscape and garden designs, and I had a construction company for about 25 years where we did all sorts of, we grew our own plants, and we did Japanese gardens, all different types of gardens all around the state and things like that. And then I was working in the winter one day, and it was about 4 degrees outside, and we stopped into the state fair. And they had a hydroponic display going on. And I walked inside, and I never left the greenhouse ever since. It was 90 degrees and beautiful, and I decided
This is it for me, being outside.
to focus on that. So it's been great.
So Cara, how does this hook work? How did you get involved with Groundwork? It sure wasn't from Eddie.
I know,
because he doesn't know anything about growing lettuce without dirt.
Definitely not, just eating it. No, John had reached out to me and was telling me about some of Groundwork's mission about bringing hydroponics and farming and fresh fruits and vegetables.
So it was a cold call? John just reached out to you because of your...
We had done one interview prior to where he was on my show through a chef that we both know who was using the greens in his restaurant that John was growing. So we had a previous connection. But it had been some time that we hadn't spoken. And then John reached out and said, we're looking for someone to MC Groundwork Elizabeth's gala. And that is, and he was telling me a little bit about the program and what they do, and just particularly educating kids about what is real food, what's healthy food, how to prepare it at home for yourselves and for your family. And that's so much a mission of the Cucina as well, is just educating people about what is healthy food and how can you cook it at home and what's the value in all of that truly. So a lot of our values really just aligned, and I was overjoyed to be asked to be a part of something like this. So I was really excited to.
So how often do you do Cafe Cucina?
So the show itself actually airs every Wednesday on YouTube, but then I'm also a health coach. I do a kids cooking camp and hands-on cooking classes, and then our piece de resistance, if you will, is that I also do a culinary tour of Italy.
Oh.
Yeah, so we do, it's all about food education.
I honeymooned in Italy. So that helped me out here. I mean.
Yeah, so it's just, again, just kind of really infusing, my background and my culture and what I know and where I came from.
I should say we honeymooned in Italy. I shouldn't say I, right? It's probably better if I use the pronoun we.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably better that way. So do you pick different regions do you match wines with this or no? Or just strictly food?
No. So the wine is part of it as well. So we did our first one this past year, and we're in the process of constructing the second one. And yes, my goal is to choose a different region each time so that we see the different types of food, the different histories of the food. But we also see the sites as well. So it's a little bit of everything. So I try to make it that if you come on the trip and it's the first time you've been to Italy, you'll see what there is to see. And if you've been to Italy 35 times, you're going to leave with a brand new experience and a brand new memory. So we really try to make it inclusive for everybody. But everything goes from free online cooking classes, which is the YouTube channel, all the way up to that tour of Italy. So
You're going to actually be in Italy?
Yes.
It's not a virtual tour?
No, not a virtual tour. There's actually a 10-day trip.
Oh.
Yes.
Does Eddie get to go?
He does sometimes, yes. He actually couldn't make it last year because he works for somebody else and we have to be mindful of his vacation time. So
Right.
I'm hoping to get him with us
Get
this
him on
year.
this trip.
Yeah.
Okay. So hydroponics tell us more about it, because it's just not growing lettuce in water. No. There's a whole elaborate system in how often the nutrients get in and everything. Tell us about it.
We test the water, it starts out with the reservoir of water, and we put a nutrient solution in there to mimic what's in soil. And it runs through the system, and they start propagating for about 10 days, and then they go into the system with the nutrients. And they run through about 4 to 5 weeks in the nutrient solution to become a full-size plant. And at that point in time, they'll grow probably about in about 2/3 the time a normal plant would grow in soil. So it's a little bit faster. Also, the benefits of it are you can grow a lot of produce in a small space. So for instance, we have a greenhouse here in Elizabeth that we opened up at the Portuguese Club, and it's a hydroponic greenhouse, and it has about 700 plant sites in it. And the greenhouse is about 400 square feet. So it's not very big, and we're putting out about 700 plants a month. So you can come into an area where there's not much soil and there's not much land for farming, and you can create these farms, and you can teach sustainability and agriculture through this process, and the outcome of it is healthy food to eat.
So is this the growth of the future? Do you believe that eventually the country will be fed with?
I think so. I think it can be, because you can grow this in the middle of a desert. You can grow it inside an office like yours here. You can grow it inside a building. It doesn't have to be outside. It doesn't have to be in a greenhouse. It could be in any place you can set up the system and get some lights with a little bit of electricity. In England, they're doing it in abandoned subway tunnels now, where they're just producing food in there for areas that aren't first to that.
So Cara, do you use this type of food in your Cara's Cucina?
I have, yeah, absolutely. And we are actually in the process of kind of trying to get something together. We still have to wait for the plants to grow. It takes a little less time. But yes, I mean, it's something that I always encourage my clients to do, as well as anybody who just kind of generally asks, get your greens in, eat your vegetables. And I think this is a really great way to kind of show people One, to bring that fresh produce to places where it may not have been so readily available for people, so to introduce it to them, and then also to show them, on my part, how to use it. I can tell people to eat all the kale in the world, but if it rots in your fridge because you don't know how to cook it or what to do with it, then it's not benefiting anybody. So yes.
What is kale? Everybody talks about it. As you can tell, I don't know what
Kale
it is.
is it's a dark leafy green. It's a really hardy green vegetable. It actually is one of the few that does grow outside, even in the wintertime in this area. So it's a good one seasonally for this time of year.
Oh, it could grow outside in the winter?
It's one of the more hardy ones, yeah. So but it's just about getting, most Americans are missing green vegetables in their diet. It's really the number
Yeah,
one
I'm
thing
one of
that they're
those.
missing.
So you mentioned earlier in an earlier conversation about a health coach. Exactly what is a health coach?
So a health coach is a little bit different than a nutritionist or a dietitian. Basically what we do is we take a holistic view of the person. So we look at whole person, whole body, and we work with them not only on specifically, if you go to a nutritionist or a dietitian, they might, just kind of hand you a piece of paper and say, okay, eat this and not that kind of a thing. I try to go a little more in depth and work with my clients on finding what specifically works for them. A lot of people right now, the keto diet is like the really on-trend diet, and it'll work, for a time for some people, but it won't work all the time for everybody. So rather than dive into that and put a lot of time and effort in, and then people become disappointed and frustrated with themselves, we kind of take some time and go, okay, what makes you feel good? What foods make you feel energized? How did you, feel after that meal? How did you feel 24 hours after you ate something like that? Are you sluggish? Are you sleepy? Do you have any type of a skin irritation? I mean, the food reacts and comes out of our bodies in all different ways, and people don't even associate some of the things that can happen to them with what they're eating. So we really just take that time and find what works for that specific individual and tailor something to them that's going to be sustainable throughout their life.
Pretty good. John, tell me about the groundwork and how you hope this is going to work together.
I think that this, our goal in the end is to, as you know, we're creating a micro-farm behind the Elmora Public Library, and there will be a greenhouse in there. And we hope to bring this to the public, and we want to show them how this works and teach them how to grow their own food and how to do it responsibly. And by doing this, we'll be able to educate them on a little bit about agriculture, a little bit how growing your own food works, a little bit about healthy eating. We also hope to maybe have a meeting space there to be able to hold meetings and hold classes.
And this is all because you got cold one day and didn't want to go outside in a 25-degree temperature?
This is it.
This is how it all happened?
Hopefully we can change the world with this.
Yeah. So the microfarm behind the Elmora Branch Library, the concept and who it's going to help, how's that going to happen?
What we would like to do is we're on track to open this spring, and we'll be able to host schools, senior citizens, children of different disabilities, and just teach them how to eat, what to eat, how to plant, how plants grow, a little bit about flowers. There'll be an apiary there. So it'll be a whole concept of like a big agricultural farm in a small space, and we'll give the children of Elizabeth and the people of Elizabeth the chance to come and experience that, because sometimes in cities you don't have that area where you could create a big farm in space like that. So we'll be able to do that, and we'll bring everybody in there, and it's going to be a great experience for the city.
So Cara, when you do the show, do you cook in your house?
Yes.
Okay. So I eat out a lot. So obviously eating at home is better. Tell us why.
Eating at home is important, and it's important because even folks who cook and eat a meal at home one day a week as a family, their children get better grades in school, they're less likely to abuse drugs and alcohol, those people are healthier overall, and when they do go out to eat, they will actually consume fewer fats, carbs, and salt without thinking about it, simply because they had that one home-cooked meal. So it's really just about changing people's relationship with food and really kind of educating them on the simplicity of cooking at home. I think sometimes people get in their heads that it's this grand task and it's something they can't do. I mean, there's a lot of times where, we will make something as simple as a rice salad. It's a pot of rice and we toss some roasted vegetables into it. And it's easy. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be fancy.
Yeah, but when I walked in here today, I noticed your husband's up 20 pounds. What's going on with that?
Well, he's well fed.
Yeah, I know. So obviously.
We do a lot of home cooking.
You do a lot of home cooking. You do extra home cooking.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to take a break, run some commercials, and come back and talk more about this if you can stay with us. So please stay with us after these messages. We're back with more about Groundwork Elizabeth and Cara's Cucina.
Hi, I'm John Evangelista, Agricultural Operations Manager for Groundwork Elizabeth, and we are at the Vera Verde Greenhouse at the Portuguese Constructional Club in Elizabeth, New Jersey. I'd like to take a minute to talk about some of the advantages of hydroponic farming. We get to grow up to about 4 times the amount of plants that you would in the same space as a soil farm, as well as we use about 80% less water than a soil farm would use. Our general goal is to have our greenhouse at Pisk to look like this and produce like this. A thriving greenhouse where we can put 3 or 4 turns and have a monthly supply of greens coming out of this greenhouse on a weekly basis.
Welcome back to our city. And Cara, during the break, I was talking to you about living healthy and eating healthy. What can people do like right now to do that?
So I think, once again, we kind of make things more complicated than they need to be. There's some really simple things that people are often missing in their life that can help improve their health. Very simply is to drink some more water. A lot of us don't really get enough of that in. We're drinking our sodas, we're drinking our juices, we're drinking whatever. But just good old-fashioned basic water is really going to be the best thing.
So how
for
many
you.
glasses?
It does actually depend on your size and your weight, but for the most part, we say about 5 16-ounce glasses per day. You would want 5 to 8 in there.
5.
Yeah. So, and throughout the day, and we try.
I never get to that.
We
get to that, John?
I don't get to that.
Yeah. We try to tell people to kind of start off their day with more water, so maybe drink like 2 right before breakfast, so you're already kind of on your way, and then lower it as you go throughout the day. This way, that also
You're not up all night.
You're not up all night going to the bathroom, exactly, which is the other thing, because people don't really get enough rest either. Also, something simple as breathing, but breathing properly. You know, a lot of times we're in this rush, we're breathing into our chest, we're taking short breaths, but if you just take 30 seconds and breathe into your belly, make your belly expand, and kind of let it out slowly, that is enough to relax your body and let your organs know, okay, we're in a safe space. Digest the food, do what you have to do. So just that kind of can really take the edge off of that constant fight or flight state that we're always in. Similarly, just taking time to sit and think. You know, I sometimes tell people, I'm like, go stare at the wall for 10 minutes, like.
That's what you tell little kids.
But adults need it too, we're always going. I have to get to the next thing, I have to do, So the same thing, it's like, just pause for just a minute, and especially around meal times, like, look at your food. What am I eating? This is what I'm doing right now. I'm eating my food. So just take that pause in your day, at any point in your day, wherever it's convenient for you. But take it and give your mind, again.
Are you able to do this?
I am, yeah.
You sound pretty hyper, huh?
I'm just passionate. I'm really excited.
But you can do this.
But I can do this, yeah. I try to make sure. Yeah, normally for me, I do it right before bed. I'll take 15 minutes. I put on a relaxing music or a meditation and just like let it out, let the day out. It's done now. You've done what you can do. Take that pause, and let's start over again the next day.
Can you do this,
I'm
John?
gonna try this.
Yeah, I know.
It works.
I wanna know you let me know how you make out, all right? So John, one of the things we have here is about Groundwork in the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. Several events the DEP has volunteered. Are they going to come back?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
We just recently spoke to our contact, and they said they're very interested in coming back to Elizabeth. They love the work we're doing. They love,
But they get out of the office too, right?
and they like getting out of the office and taking a day outside. It's good for everybody.
So what do they do? What does the DEP folks do when they get there?
The DEP, when they come there, they generally do a cleanup, whether it's in the community garden, or they'll build community garden beds for us, for our garden programs. They move stone, they move mulch, they help us prep for the summer if they come in the spring, or they help us break down the farm if they come in the fall. They're a great group of people, and they had so much fun being down here when we worked. We had, I had the pleasure of project managing a grant that the city had from, Groundwork had from the New Jersey DEP, where we built community gardens, and we built some agricultural laboratories around the city, a whole bunch of things that we did, and they loved it here, and they love volunteering for us, and they're really looking forward to coming back.
So John, you work with over 100 organizations, at least Groundwork does, right? Yes. So the schools, community gardens, including the library in Ravensback Manor, was it hard getting people interested in doing this with no prior experience?
I have to be honest, it really wasn't. We had built two 50-bed community gardens in the city, and both of them were filled before we even opened the doors. We went to them, we did a little bit of community outreach, we spoke to them about what we were going to do, and they've come around and they've jumped on board. Now both gardens have a waiting list, and it's been 2 years, we're going into our third season with them. And both of them have a waiting list, and hopefully we can get some more beds built and into the spaces, and get everybody in there. And
okay.
It's been great for the community. They come with their children. They'll spend Saturdays there in the community gardens, and one of our big 50-bed gardens is going to be right next to the micro farm behind the El Moro Library. So hopefully it'll just be an interaction with the kids and the parents and in the farm and in the community garden. And
so Cara, how long have you been working with Groundwork Elizabeth, and how did this marriage start? How did it get together?
This is my first year actually working with them. So again, John had kind of approached me and explained to me that what they were about the community gardens, the hydroponic farm, particularly the youth outreach and educating children about growing your own food, eating healthy food, working within that, especially for children. When they see it from start to finish, they're so much more likely to then consume it on top of it. So a lot of even my friends who are parents go, I can't get my kids to eat their vegetables, and I can't, but when they get to select it, when they get to kind of play with it almost, if you will, then it's become something that they're familiar with, and they want to kind of finish the job of consuming it as well. So it's just, I really liked everything that Groundwork was trying to do, and I was happy to contribute my time and whatever else I could to help them grow this project.
So Cara, you talked about your show is an Emmy Award nominated, right?
Yes.
And who do you think your audience is? You getting a message out to young people? You getting a message out? And why is it important to get it out to young? Or do you think you're getting a message out to middle-aged folks?
Probably more middle-aged folks is who's watching the show and who's on the website, but they're also the people who have children. And I think, if I can help them communicate, these things to their children. I also think it's important for children in general to learn this stuff because, as adults, like we said, you find it difficult to eat your greens, or you find it difficult to take that time
I don't find it difficult. I just don't like it. It's not that I don't. Don't.
But if we
Slow
can
down
teach
here, Cara.
children- If we can teach children to do those things off the bat and it becomes normal for them, then I think we can bring up a
I
generation
mean, what kid
of
likes
healthier.
Brussels sprouts? You know what I mean?
You know what? You throw some pancetta in there and a little balsamic vinegar, and I bet you they'll eat it.
Really?
Yeah.
So is it better to cook vegetables all the way through, or does it leave it dante? I like dante a little bit.
It's to your taste. I always tell people, and I say it on the show a lot, and I say it to my clients, you know,
I like them cooked.
the best good food is the one you're going to eat. So if you prefer it more cooked, cook it.
But do you cook out the nutrients if you cook it too much?
I don't think so. I know there is
There's that school
there
of
is
thought.
that school of thought, and maybe to a degree. But here's the thing: a cooked Brussels sprout is better than no Brussels sprout. So again, we tend to think of things in like black or white. Something's healthy or it's not, or it's good for you or it's bad. And really, it's kind of a sliding scale. So if you will eat the more cooked Brussels sprout versus not eating one at all, I would prefer you ate the cooked Brussels sprout than not at all.
Okay, I get that. So John, the Green Team and the Youth Corps, the Youth Development Program, any stories going on?
I got a lot of good stories.
Oh, let's get one anyway.
So, one of the best ones we had this year was we had a bunch of youth at the farm, and we turned over a pallet that had been sitting on the ground for probably 3 months, and there was some large worms under there, and they thought they were snakes. They were jumping through the roof, nervous. So we pick them up and show it to them, and you'd be surprised that they have never seen a worm before. They didn't know what it was. They didn't know if it was going to bite, if they were going to have to, get venom in them or whatever. And when you show it to them, then 2 minutes later they're holding it and they're touching it and they're looking at it and they experience that. And you see it happen in front of you. It's just amazing. It really is.
So how old were these kids?
These kids were about 16 to 18.
And they never saw a worm?
And they've never seen a worm. They grew up in the inner city. They grew up
I grew up in the inner city, saw worms all the time.
They're all over, but
Yeah.
it's just unbelievable how
The kids don't go outside anymore.
They're
That's the
not
problem.
They're not digging in the dirt.
I'm thinking in the dirt. A lot of video games and texting. So, Cara, the gala, how do we find out more about the gala, and how do people find out about you and your show?
So the gala you can find at groundworkelizabeth.org, and you can purchase your tickets in advance, which we certainly recommend. It's going to be a really great night. It's going to be dinner. We have a silent auction, good food. We do a cocktail hour. So it's going to just be a really great event, a great night out in Elizabeth. And then for the show itself, you just want to head over to caradefalco.com.
CaraDefalco.com.
Yes.
And how do we find out more about you, John? I'm only kidding. No, it's just, the Portuguese Club, is that going well?
It's going really well.
Okay.
They've been great partners to us. They just had the entire parking lot in the area around the greenhouse repaved. So we had taken a little pause there for a couple of months while they did this, but it's completed. The greenhouse is up and running, and we'll have produce out of there in 3 to 4 weeks.
And how long is your show?
Again, it's structured for YouTube, so we try to make it under 5 minutes. So the videos are pretty fast, and it's
Yeah, but you can't cook anything. So what do? You have it prepared ahead of time and you show the final?
No.
No?
We still show you step by step what to do. We just kind of structure it in such a way that you're not watching necessarily a full 30-minute video. Again, online people have a much shorter attention span.
Yeah. Do you show the final lasagna at the end?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, so you made it already.
Yeah, well, so we'll bake it, but we'll cut that part out of the video itself, so you're not, we're not watching the oven for 30 minutes while something cooks.
Your husband's eating it in the meantime.
Yeah, exactly.
There
yes.
you go. There you go. Listen, I want to thank the two of you for joining me on the show. This is great.
Thank you so much
Look
for having
forward to
us.
seeing you guys at the gala.
Yes.
That should be fun. So, YouTube, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. And I'm angling for an invitation.
Yeah.
You know?
We will make it happen for
I want to
sure.
come on here and learn how to cook. So I want to thank Miss Cara DeFalco for joining me on the show here this evening, and also Mr. John Evangelista. How'd I do, John? Good. Yeah, I could have done better. And we'll see you next week on another edition of Our City.